Jesus' threats of fire and division are a little unsettling, aren't they? Especially during fire season and the divisive election season. Did Jesus really come to bring division instead of peace? What kind of division? You know how I like liturgical and biblical math, but even though when Jesus fed the thousands, he brought multiplication, I don't think he also brought long division. He wouldn't be that wicked. What about the kind of division we see in our politics, among Christians, between Catholics? I can't believe some Christians believe this. I can't believe lots of my fellow Catholics believe that. I can't believe so many people, even my family, are going to vote that way. Is this the kind of division Jesus wants? Take the voting situation. Are we supposed to try to talk our friends and family out of voting what we think is the wrong way? Will that cause even more division? I know a lot of you have these questions. I've actually had quite a hard time finding helpful online advice about how to talk with opposing voters. Some say appeal to their emotions. Others say appeal to their intellect. Some say address their values rather than our own. I wonder if we should instead just shut up and listen. But Jesus didn't just shut up and listen. Kind of like those people we've all encountered, often older people, who have a knack for speaking their minds with simultaneous blunt passion and easygoing detachment. People like perhaps your grandmother or Pope Francis. They can often speak the clearest truth out of the clearest contemplative love, not clouding the truth with their own biases and fears, and not poisoning the speech with judgment or hate. Do you know some of those people? These are also people who don't just speak the truth, but live it out, right? For the rest of us, is there division within us? Division between conviction and action? To heal that division, we need to live out the truth, act on it. And to act on the truth, we need to sacrifice some of our old, familiar, comfortable ways. Of course, Jesus, your grandmother, the Pope, and we at our best can still cause division when we speak and act the truth in love. Or if not cause it, reveal its hidden existence. That was Martin Luther King's response to those who said he was stirring up trouble, that the civil rights movement wasn't causing violence, but exposing it. Does Jesus want division? He wants to heal it, but he knows that can't be done by ignoring it. Peace isn't the absence of conflict, but the existence of justice and truth and love. Jesus lived so completely without division between his words and actions that he was killed for it. He was killed for bringing the divisive seeds of peace. Jesus' Spirit empowers us to live with the same authenticity, without division between our words and actions. Even if such lives reveal deep divisions outside of us and get us into dangerous trouble, these authentic lives are themselves our peace and the seeds of peace for the world.
I'd like to stay in that moment where we think about how we follow God's will and stay in that moment of peace. But when I read these readings, they took me to another place, and I'm going to share that with you. The phrase kept coming back to me when I read the readings, and it was, "Disturb us, Lord, when, ... And I was pretty sure I'd read it in a prayer or heard it in a prayer. And of course, I Googled it, and it's actually a prayer or a prose piece attributed to Sir Francis Drake. And the beginning of it is, "Disturb us, Lord, when we are too pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we dreamed too little, when we arrived safely because we sailed too close to the shore. Disturb us, Lord, when we have fallen in love with life, we have ceased to dream of eternity, and in our efforts to build a new earth, we have allowed our vision of the new heaven to dim. Disturb us, Lord, when with the abundance of things we possess takes precedence and we have lost our thirst for the waters of life. In a similar vein, my own prayer and reflection led me to simply say, to allow Jesus to disturb me. And certainly with all the news, as Father Dominic mentioned, of our current political and national election, it's easy to be there. Disturb me, Lord, when I am too careful and want to be politically correct. In our first reading today, Jeremiah is persecuted by the powers that be because he was not being politically correct. That was more than 1,400 years ago, so we're not the first to live through this type of era. In the year 587 BC or thereabouts, the city of Jerusalem was being besieged by Nebuchadnezzar. People were suffering, but the army generals kept the war going, aggravating the situation. Jeremiah was the lonely voice that was putting pressure on King Zedekiah to surrender to reduce the suffering of the people. But this was not politically correct. It threatened the pride of the army. So Jeremiah is dropped into a dry well, or a muddy well, in an attempt to silence him. And it took the courage of an Ethiopian, Ebed-Melech, who was politically incorrect and challenged the king to say that he shouldn't silence the prophet. Thus, Jeremiah was rescued. Often throughout his life, Jeremiah does not want to be politically correct, so he has problems with the king, and he has problems with the priests, and he has problems with the false prophets. His message is subversive. Yet when Jeremiah wants to be politically correct, just by keeping quiet, there is an inner conflict in him. As he tells us later in Jeremiah chapter 20, I would say to myself, I will not think about it. I will not think about him. I will not speak his name anymore. But then there seemed to be a fire burning in my heart, imprisoned in my bones. The effort to restrain it wearied me. I could not do it. It is this fire that Jesus came to cast. Or glancing at our second reading, the letter to the Hebrews, it invites us to fight against sin as we keep running steadily the race we have started. This fight against sin is not just the obedience to the commandments, but something deeper than that. The letter of the Hebrews tells us, let us not lose sight of Jesus, who leads us in faith and brings it to perfection. Since the 1950s, and some people here will remember that time, the popes have warned us about the sin of the century, which Pope Pius XII named as the loss of a sense of sin. The solution to the loss of a sense of sin is not a guilty conscience, but a rightful acceptance of the resistance within us that refuses to allow the grace of God to flow within us. Obedience to the law could not make us complacent, but the journey towards perfection often disturbs us. It is a challenge to keep running steadily. This is the fire that Jesus is talking about, the energy within us that motivates us to keep running despite our inner resistance. At this, the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled. Those who hope in the Lord God regain their strength. They will sprout wings like eagles. Though they run, they will not grow weary. Though they walk, they will never tire. Disturb me, Lord, when I feel I have no sin to confess. Disturb me, Lord, when I put on my blind eye, or in my case, my Pollyanna filter, when I want to think that the world, the church, my family are all right just as they are. Another way of looking at the gospel is the way we are led to look at the world, our family, our church, in the leadership of Pope Francis, and I am so pleased to have his guidance and his words to ponder and think about. Most people are drawn to his ways, but even though that, they feel them challenging. Some feel so challenged that they don't want to think about it at all, and they speak against the Pope. Pope Francis disturbs us with his simplicity and his sincerity. He wants to embrace the sinner without condoning the sin, the world and the church without ignoring social sin. Disturb me, Lord. Disturb my false security so I might focus my attention solely on you. Disturb me, Lord, when I hide from the fire of your love. Or in the words of Sir Francis Drake, some 400 years ago, disturb us, Lord, when we are too pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we have dreamed too little, when we arrive safely because we sailed too close to the shore.